Well, federal officials yesterday saying the gunman in the deadly shooting at a Dallas ICE facility had done months of pre-planning. That's 29-year-old Joshua John allegedly going so far as to use ICE tracking apps to target agents. And Brooke Taylor is live in Dallas. She has much more. Hi, Brooke.
Hi, Dana. Yeah, officials said that there was a high degree of pre-planning when it came to this attack, and disturbing footage from the shooter's phone shows just how far he went to target these ICE agents. But I want to show you this new surveillance footage we have that a source sent me, and it really shows the chaos that was going on as these ICE agents and detainees are being targeted. This is the transportation van here that was hit by bullets flying everywhere. Agents and detainees inside these vans were then brought to safety inside. And if you wait a second, we'll also get video from inside this facility. So bullets were also flying inside. You see those detainees here. They have handcuffs on, they're shackled, and they're being rushed to safety by one of those ICE agents officers there. He just used his hands to push him forward so that they could get there quicker. And later on in the video, you could see these ATF agents and ICE agents go back outside, and they actually duck behind these vans and bring more detainees inside. So again, this just shows you the chaos that was happening as you have this shooter really firing off in all directions, and really also the bravery of these ICE agents here, putting their lives at risk and making sure these detainees are safe. Officials say that the shooter, who has been identified as 19-year-old Joshua John, spent months planning this attack. He brought his own ladder and he climbed onto a nearby roof and fired indiscriminately. Rounds of ammunition near the shooter had anti-ICE messages written on them. The FBI says they found detailed notes about the attack during a search warrant and a clear motive to target and kill ICE agents. The U.S. acting attorney for the Northern District of Texas says the shooter hoped his actions would give ICE agents real terror of being gunned down. And again, ironically, instead of shooting any ICE agents, he shot 3 detainees inside of that van, killing one of them.
He called the ICE employees people showing up to collect a dirty paycheck. He wrote that he intended to maximize lethality against ICE personnel and to maximize property damage at the facility. He hoped to minimize any collateral damage or injury to the detainees and any other innocent people.
The shooter also used an ICE agent tracking app designed to spot and locate these ICE officers.
It's no different than giving a hitman the location of their intended target, and this is exactly what we saw happen in Dallas yesterday. The media has been amplifying these apps even as we warned them it would only lead to more attacks on law enforcement. We truly wish we didn't have to say, "I told you so," but here we are.
And officials say they hope that people could clearly see on that video that these ICE agents were putting their own lives on the line just to help these detainees and bring them to safety. They want that to be the focus instead of this dangerous anti-ICE rhetoric that's online. And I could tell you just from speaking to my sources in this ICE facility, they have been so upset the last few days and just frustrated, to say the least, that they can't even do their jobs without worrying that they could be the target of an attack like this and killed. These are people who have their own families too. They're in these communities, and at the end of the day, they tell me they just want to make these communities safer. Dana.
Brooke Taylor, thank you for that update.
Joining us now, Deputy ICE Director Madison Sheahan. I'll have you add to that in Brooke's reporting there, while also noting in that video that we have now been able to obtain clearly does show, to Brooke's point, these ICE agents putting their own lives at risk to protect those that were very clearly in harm's way during this attack.
Well, first off, I'd like to thank the Department of Justice and the FBI for being so transparent with the American people throughout this investigation. They've been a fantastic partner to the men and women of ICE, and especially when something hits so close to home as this attack does. But I think what this video that you just showed shows the American people is that the men and women of ICE are resilient and they act with valor when in times of stress and under extreme violence. When we see somebody shooting at this facility, our officers go back out to the van to remove the detainees from the van to make sure that they're safe and trying to get them back to safely as quickly as possible as the shooter continues to wreak havoc indiscriminately throughout our entire facility. And I just want to commend those agents and all the men and women of ICE who continue to put themselves in harm's way to protect the American people and to make our communities safer.
We heard a bit from Marcos Charles earlier, the field office director of ICE there, and here he is making clearly the case that these ICE agents are targets and the rhetoric has to stop. Listen.
Violent rhetoric has led to over 1,000% increase in assaults on ICE officers, and it has to stop. In contrast to those who would demonize our men and women, yesterday our brave officers ran back into danger, along with ATF, our partners, to save the detainees while shots were still being fired. They are heroes, and I hope the media has the integrity to shine a light on this story. Enough is enough with the harmful lies and violent rhetoric. It has to stop.
I'll get your thoughts on that while also pointing out that the details that are emerging from this attack clearly show this was meticulously planned all the way down to using those ICE tracking apps. Madison.
Absolutely. And Marcos has been fantastic throughout this entire process, and he's served as an excellent leader for our Dallas field office. What we see is that people are using these apps, using this violent rhetoric that we're seeing online, coming from the media, coming from politicians, to use this as an excuse to attack ICE officers. We see our officers getting compared to the modern-day Gestapo or to Nazis. This is unacceptable. This rhetoric has to stop because we do not want to be handing folded flags to families. It's time that this stops, that this rhetoric ends now so that the men and women of ICE can go out to the community to enforce the law as it's written. I always tell people the laws that the men and women of ICE are enforcing are the laws that Congress has passed, the laws that we are empowered to enforce in the United States as the executive branch, and we'll continue to do that under the leadership of President Trump and Secretary Noem. We've continued to have operations in Dallas. This will not deter us, but using apps and using social media to track ICE officers to intentionally put them in harm's way is unacceptable, and it has to stop.
Madison, we appreciate you coming on. Thank you very much.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.